Well, welcome Ryan and Cheryl and Ray. We're just getting some intros started here, and then we're going to get right to the presentation. We've got a lot of really good stuff to present tonight. And just as a side note, before we even get started, this is a teaching event. You're going to learn a whole lot. And this is a really specific topic of how to use an authority positioning portfolio, a specific thing, right? It's not just how to use marketing to accomplish something. This is a specific thing, and you want to become the #1 recognized expert in your niche or industry. And I'm presenting this in advance of an event that Ray Perez is doing, and I'm working with him to help him get the word out on that. And so I really encourage you to follow Ray Perez, and you're going to see some of his stuff throughout this presentation as well. And so what I want you to think about is 3 easy questions. And anytime, I've already mentioned to you, take some notes. And this is not this is not a quiz, it's not a test, but I just really want you guys to think about what are the questions that you should be asking yourself right now. Number 1, are you looking to grow your business? And it sounds like a strange question because who wouldn't? But there are some occasions where an agency or a business coach or a consultant or an entrepreneur or business owner, they're busy. And they don't necessarily need to grow their business, but you know what they need to do is they need to find these authority marketing and authority positioning techniques to kind of build a moat around their business so that they are bulletproof from the competition. So whether you're looking to do that and just solidify your place in the market and grow that way and bolster your brand, or you're looking to be able to get your business, taking it to the next level, this is going to be really helpful for you. The second question is, do you look for high value clients? And the reason I ask this question is if you are selling, and let's just use as an example, pencils or bubble gum, just something nominal, you might not need to go to the lengths of building that solid brand and celebrity status because it's a commodity item. So I want you to think about, do you want to grow your business? Do you look for high value clients? And then last, if we could show you a way to be seen as a celebrity expert, do you think that it would attract more clients to you? And we're going to talk about this the whole way through. And it's very psychological. I teach marketing at a few universities, and there's a class called consumer behavior. And I always joke because it feels like it's a psychology class, because it really is. Marketing and promotion many times is psychological. Your knee-jerk reaction when you see a new brand or customer or a prospect of business that you're looking to do business with, many times you have that really quick first reaction of, are they trustworthy? Do I feel like they could be someone that I could put my trust in? And all of a sudden now, you need to be able to be seen instantly as that expert and that authority. So what I want with this question is, do you feel that if your brand was seen as that trusted advisor and that celebrity status, would that get you one notch closer to getting at bat? And what I mean by at bat is, if you could wave a magic wand and have sales appointments scheduled in your calendar at no cost and as many as you wanted, you would want that, right? Well, the at bat is giving you the chance to speak to a good prospect about your product or service. And many times we don't get that at bat, or people that are not positioned well don't get that at bat because they look at their stuff online and it just looks lackluster, or maybe their logo or website or their messaging. And guess what? Branding is not only your logo or your website. Branding is really what you are perceived as in the mind of your target audience. So who needs expert recognition? I'm just going to put a few of these on here because these are obvious, but who would not need this? Well, very rarely, because I don't care who you are, if you're in real estate or legal or finance, you need to be seen as that expert. And here's something I mentioned to you a minute ago, that I do a lot of work with some attorneys who are looking to build their business, their practice, right? Especially now during these times where we maybe have a need for some virtual. Well, those letters after the attorney's name, JD, Juris Doctor, they've got a doctorate, right? So they've had the same amount of schooling as a doctor. They've got a doctorate. That does not separate them and elevate them to the status they need to be, because why? They have competitors. So an attorney, someone in the legal field, needs to be seen as that expert. And of course, service professionals or real estate agents, anybody on this list has one thing in common, many things, but one thing I want to talk about, competitors. And if you think about your business right now, tonight, you have competitors and people have choices. So here's something really, really interesting. Wherever your prospects find you, guess what happens? They find your competition. And I want to use this image here for a really important purpose. Take a look over these doors. Do they all look the same? Yep, they're white. They got the same shape. It looks like they have the same handle. It looks like they have the same molding. Man, it's a door. Which one are you going to choose to go through? Which one stands out? You would be scratching your head. You know, if it was a competition, you know, pick door number 1, 2, 3, 4. You would not know which one to go to. But here's the rub. The problem is getting your prospects to choose you. And see, now that is what we're talking about. And you don't want to stand out in a negative way. Now, I'm going to give this example, and it just came to mind, so I'm going to apologize in advance if this is anyone or you've done this kind of thing. But in my part of Colorado, around tax time, you'll be driving down the road and see people dressed up like the Statue of Liberty spinning a sign saying, "Get your taxes done," right? And hopefully I can see some virtual heads nod. Well, if you were a corporate CEO or a high-level executive and you were driving by that, would that make you slam your brakes on and say, "Pick me, I need your help"? Of course not. So you don't want to stand out for a way that goes against the brand positioning that you need to be seen as. So if your problem is getting the prospects to choose you, what do? Look at this slide here. Do you realize that we could do a 1 to 2 hour workshop on each and every one of these topics? SEO, let's go. You know, on page, off page, backlinks. It's unbelievable how detailed you would need to be and understand each and every one of these topics. And you know the Malcolm Gladwell concept of 10,000 hours to be an expert? To get 10,000 hours good at any one of these things, boy, it would take the rest of your career to get good at all of these marketing concepts. And it seems like you would need to do these to grow your business. Now, I might say this throughout this presentation several times, but I really want you to get this in your head, which is this. If you could take a pencil and go, well, I do this one, this, there's nothing wrong with any of these. And whatever you do to grow your business right now, Facebook ads, Google ads, email blast, it doesn't matter what you're doing. I am not going to suggest something tonight that you need to replace. I am suggesting that when you build your business as an expert and an authority and people see you as that trusted advisor, it makes anything and everything that you do in your business marketing perform better. Is it going to 10x it? No one can promise that. But you know what it can do? It's going to make people, you know, your conversion rates on that landing page. You know, you're going to do a cost per click campaign or a Facebook ad campaign, and your conversions are going to go up just a little bit because they're like, it's just something about that. Yeah, that makes sense. And I'm going to show you some examples of this as we get going. But when your prospects and you are feeling like, how do I get chosen as that obvious choice? You need to have skills and knowledge and experience and ability and competence, right? And that means you need to be an expert. They're looking for that. People in this marketplace today, now more than ever, are looking for someone to trust. As you know, I call it the KLT factor, the know, like, and trust. People, all things being equal, people want to do business with someone that they know, they like, and they trust. Well, it cannot be contrived. It's not a formula. You know, you can't go, well, as long as I check this box and do this, then bam, I've got KLT and here's the order form. It really gets down to how you approach things. And there's a section of tonight's teaching that you're going to understand how you're going to be able to do this. So I just want to show you this screen here. If I could show you how to stand out from the competition, generate pre-qualified leads, get more referrals, and become a subject matter expert, wouldn't that be good? And I want to say something that I've said already before. This is not a big pitch fest. I'm not going to sell you a $10,000 program at the end. This is teaching. So I just want to set the stage with this, that this authority positioning portfolio is a methodology. It's a mindset, and it's assets that you can use in your business to make your business get elevated in your own mind. And that's a huge first point, and in the mind of your target audience. So who am I? could talk, for decades, but I just want to give you the quick thumbnail sketch. I'm a Forbes contributor. So I've, in fact, right now got my 16th article in proofreading in Forbes, and it's a really cool one, if I do say so myself. It's called Brevity is the Linchpin of Clarity. And I think that when we're talking about our marketing message and our communication, you got to be brief, you got to get right to the point, you got to be clear, because that's what people will relate to. And I'm an author. I've got 5 books out. This one right here, Authority Selling, is a really good one. And this encapsulates a lot of my teachings all in one book. And I'm a award-winning podcast producer, as well as I've done 525 plus episodes on my show. And this is kind of like down here, the lower left is like my little motto. I do as much as I can so I can serve as much as I can, to make as much as I can so I can support my wife and 4 kids and give them life opportunities to succeed, and give extra time and money to causes I care about. We're going to talk about that specific point a little bit later with something that I think that it'll really interest you, called the halo effect in your business. And that becomes a competitive advantage when we can have a halo effect in our business. So I promise to deliver really good teaching for you tonight. This is not going to be a long drawn out pitch, like I said, and I promise to be clear. I really think that when you can give examples and stories and ways to apply a piece of teaching, it really comes to life. And so if I'm promising to do that, like for instance, I'm trying to look right here to you, and I don't care if you look down or you're not on your video. You are here for your purpose to learn and take some notes to implement, because have you ever heard of the phrase, knowledge is power? And people are like, yeah, knowledge is power. That's kind of like a fallacy, because having knowledge is not the power. And you know why? Number one, because it's so easy to get. You have this new tool out called Google, and you can get any kind of knowledge you want at your fingertips, voice activated or Googling it. Well, knowledge becomes so much more important when it's applied. So it's the application, the integration of that knowledge into action. That's when it takes the true power. So what I would like to do is either give me a thumbs up or a yes in the chat. I want to know who's ready to listen, learn, and implement some new things tonight. My goal for you is at least one thing. You're going to walk away with one thing that you can implement in your business. Maybe a couple things you've heard new, and then one thing that you could implement right away. So I see some coming in, and that's awesome. I just want to have that feeling that we're going to set the stage, that you're going to watch and listen for something that you can learn and, more importantly, implement right away. So that's going to be what I'm looking for on your behalf. During the times we're in right now, and right now, obviously, we're in COVID times, right? Well, in 6 months, if someone's watching this, we're not going to be in COVID times. This is going to be something else. Do you know that a few years ago we were in the credit crisis, and before that was 9/11, and tomorrow, or the next day, or the next year, it's going to be something. So we are never going to have that smooth sailing in our business landscape. So I thought this was a really interesting slide right here. There are choices that we have right here tonight, is when we approach something like a struggle in our business. It might be something internal. You see this slide of, up and down, or it might be something external with dealing with COVID or virtual. We can be reactive and react with a fearful mindset, or guess what we can do? We can be proactive and lean into it with a hopeful, optimistic mindset. Because guess what? It doesn't matter which way you approach it. The circumstance is still going to be there. It matters how you are going to approach it and how you are going to move through it and be optimistic, because sometimes you're going to see that forest for the trees within the circumstance. And I think it's so important to understand that. So I want to talk on this slide, and we're going to get into some others where what is the mindset of authority positioning, and then how can we use that in our business? So who likes free gifts? Look at the guy with the gift down there. So at the end of this presentation, I'm going to give you an opportunity to get a free gift. Like I said, this is my book on Amazon. It's for sale for $28 on Kindle. And I'm going to tell you exactly how everyone tonight can get a copy of that for free. And I'm going to send it to you. So I just want you to stay tuned for that. So here is a little pop quiz thought, kind of like this is one of the things I want you to understand, because when you come through these questions, it's going to really help you clarify business development in your business. Now, we could spend 4.5 hours on this whole slide here right now, but just as a 30,000 foot view, you don't need to say, but just think in your mind, what's your revenue goal for the next 90 days? Because if you don't have a revenue goal, where are you headed? So what is your revenue goal? What is your current process for moving an interested prospect into a paying client? I want you to think about that for a second. What is your prospect? If someone sent you an email or downloaded your thing or you were referred someone, what is your process for moving that person into a paying client? And I want to give special attention to that word process because it's not luck. Hope is not a strategy. And then 3, do you know your client's buyer's journey? The exact questions, when they fully understand these questions and the answers to them, they get it. So again, this is like a whole weekend course, on understanding and fine-tuning this. But if you could think about, well, the last client or 2 or 3 or 10 that I brought on, they asked me these questions, and these are the like surface level frequently asked questions. But boy, when they asked me this one, or when I brought up this question, those are kind of like what I like to call should ask questions. FAQs are frequently asked questions. SAQs are should ask questions. So being able to get these deeper ones that really pull people through the buyer's journey, that are much more deeper than the surface level. Now, guess what you do? And let's just pick the number 3. Let's say that you've got 3 pillar type questions that when you explain clearly to a prospect and they get it, they're like, that makes sense. I've never heard that before from anyone else. Okay, good. Tell me more. What are those 3 questions? And then how can you build content, but more importantly, authoritative content around those? So let me give you this example. Do you think you could pick the first question and answer it really succinctly in 2 paragraphs where it makes a lot of sense? Sure. So maybe you should put that out on an email to people like an FAQ. Okay, that's good, fine. Maybe you should put it on your website as an FAQ. Maybe a little bit better. Maybe you should post it on a blog post. Getting there. But there's something called, and I saw this about 2 months ago, and it's an old book from the 60s, and it's really, if you ever want, I'm going to tell you the name of it, and if you ever download it, because it took me a long time to find it, and it was really an odd book. But the title was The Medium is the Message. And it makes inference to this, and this is where I'm making the point that the medium, the platform, like the marketing medium, the media, is so strongly your message. Because if you think about something, what if you answered that one question really well and clearly, and it was on a old, I don't know, blogger blog post? People know that that's free thing, and they don't really pay much attention to that. But if that same question was in Entrepreneur Magazine with your name as the byline, and you sent that out to your target audience and email and social media and say, hey, my latest Entrepreneur piece or Forbes piece was just put out covering this question, this answer. I think you've got some really interesting responses that you'll see. Take a look at it. Now they're going to go, ooh, old Dave put out something really authoritative. Oh, Nancy, that's a really good point. You see the difference? The medium makes the message. So the last question here is, what is the lifetime value of a client for you? And it's an actual calculation, but you think about something. Well, if a client normally gets this, and then they upgrade to this, and then they stay with me this many years, and then if I do a good job, they might refer someone to me that turns into a client. The lifetime value is a quantifiable number. And that is important because when you look at marketing campaign investments, not costs, you need to know your LTV, your lifetime value, your CLTV, your customer lifetime value. Because what if that lifetime value is $3,500? And what if the acquisition cost to get them is $25? You might think, oh my word, I'm going to pay $25 to get a cut. Yes, you should. And you hear that all the time on Shark Tank, don't we? What's your customer acquisition? And A, you better know it if you're on Shark Tank, but B, it's good for us to know so that when you're planning marketing and authoritative strategies, it might cost $1 or $2, but you need to, balance that with when that new client comes on board, they're worth this, and over time, they're worth that. And that's a huge piece. So here's problem number 2 for you. This is huge. The digital attention span that we all are in. It's kind of like the digital attention span economy. And you've seen this before, and I did not use the goldfish example, right? You know, like goldfish have a better attention span than us. But in 2000, the average attention span was 12 seconds. 2015, 8.25. So maybe what, in 2030, we're going to be at 4 seconds if things go the right way. What does that mean? It means when people see your marketing message, your website, whatever that it is, boy, you had better be right there on it. Clear, concise, brevity, you know, with brief application, because their attention span is so small. So what it takes to stand out in the marketplace has changed dramatically. And look at this, competition for your prospects' attention is fierce. Why is that? Because online media reduces your attention span. So how many of us are bombarded with text, email, social media, YouTube? And you know what? I could have filled up this whole page and 9 more slides with TikTok, Instagram, whatever, but we get the picture. We are distracted. We don't have the attention span we used to sit there and contemplate and evaluate any choices in our market. Because you've heard of this before too, the microwave mindset, right? We want that instant gratification. In the slide here, it says, you know, instant availability has replaced 2 to 4 weeks for delivery. Well, I am 52. And I remember a day when you would be watching the television and you would get a thing that says buy or call now and allow 4 to 6 weeks for delivery. 4 to 6 weeks. You know, that's huge, long time. People don't have time for that. We want it now. And in fact, in some parts of the country, Amazon is delivering in hours, same day. And as we probably all know, there are talks of having drone delivery. And, you know, I think my delivery guy for Amazon knows us by name. We live so much on Amazon, but as soon as that drone thing hits, I'm on it because I just want to see, I want to, you know, take that video. But we want our answers and our solutions fast. Now, this is something really, really interesting. And this kind of gets down to what I was talking to you earlier about is the fact that you're going to learn something. And remember how I mentioned psychology. There's a whole study, and this was done from back in the 60s, and you can Google it, Stanley Milgram's study that he did. But research conducted by this psychologist, Stanley Milgram, discovered that the marketplace will blindly believe the words of an expert. That's pretty interesting, right? Because you get someone up there on that stage as a keynote speaker, they're the expert, they're going to believe that. Blindly, meaning they're the expert. Now, you've heard this before, you know, this is a powerful power, use it wisely. And it really is. You know, you don't want to be putting yourself in the authoritative position to take advantage unethically for people, selling them or putting them in something that is not right for them. So that is Milgram. Zipf's law says that your ideal clients intentionally narrow their choices to those on top. Why is that? Because of the microwave mentality in society that we're in, the digital span economy that we're in. I don't have time to go look around and search 19 different places. Remember that that magazine, Consumer Reports, that you would get in touch and open up, and I don't have time for that. You know, let me just Google it and I'm looking for this product. Let me see some reviews. Consumer Reports good, Carfax great. Boom, I'm going to make my decision. But I am looking for something authoritative, and look at Zipf's. Your ideal clients narrow their choices to those who are on top. So the power of Milgram's law is that you can become the expert even if you're starting out from scratch. So that's huge. This is not a 10-year, you know, curve. But you have to understand how to leverage Milgram's law and Zipf's law along with your authority positioning portfolio, which we're going to talk about tonight, so that you create a virtual blockade around your business and dramatically reduce your competitors. The thing I want us to realize is our attention spans are going down. We want things fast. And from the 60s on to now, nothing has changed in this respect because we want to trust an expert and we want to narrow our choices to the ones that are obvious because I don't have the time. I don't have the time to research. Now, here's something else. Virtual raise of hands, right? How many of us have not chosen a restaurant we saw online because we saw negative reviews? All the time. Right? And here's the other thing. If we could pull up one of those restaurants right now and you go, yeah, I didn't go to that one. How many of those negative reviews did you know personally? Right? 0. And why did we put our faith in that? We don't need to know those people. Now, statistically, when you do know someone and they refer, then the chances go up, that you're going to make that decision that much better. That's where word of mouth and referrals comes in. But that social proof, that online social proof is massive. And we're going to touch on that as part of our authority positioning portfolio. So let me get our next slide. Okay. Now this is pretty interesting. We talked about digital attention spans, and it used to be months and weeks to purchase. Now it's days and hours. Does anyone recognize that business in the top right? Like I said, I'm old enough to remember walking into that store, and I will say to you that it annoyed the daylights out of me to go to a Blockbuster. Does anyone know why? If I were to unmute Nancy, I think she would say this. Because they were trained kind of like the Chick-fil-A, like My Pleasure. They were trained the minute you walked in the door, hi, how's it going? It's like, I just want to look for a movie. I don't want to get in a conversation. But that's beside the point, because Blockbuster put a blind eye to what was going on around them. In fact, there was a chance that they could have come on board with Netflix and gone the digital age. They didn't. Well, guess what? I want to show you the step from Blockbuster to Netflix. How about the one right next under it? The lady looking through those things that are square and got some circle and record, right? Now, crazy enough, my 16-year-old son has 200 records, and they're from like big band to jazz. I mean, so who knows where that taste comes from? I love it. I love that because when he's behind the closed doors and turn his music up, it's always, smooth jazz, and that's awesome. But guess what replaced that? Bam, iTunes. How about the one underneath that? See those people sitting in that store where they sell those things with binders and pages and their books that you touch and feel? What happened there? Amazon. So our economy that we're in right now is going digital, and along with it has come our attention. And where that applies to us is this. The decision-making process with our clients, our prospects, is that they make a decision. Look at this, emotions and subconscious. They choose what they want to buy by using their conscious mind, but they look for reasons to justify it. You've heard this, the example before. People want to make that emotional decision, but quantify it with facts. So that doesn't mean that we don't have the numbers. It means that you want to connect emotionally with stories and examples and empathy, but you want to have the data to back it up. So how about this? When we can see it, touch it, smell it, taste it, it's easier for the conscious mind to find reasons to justify emotional decisions to buy. And here is what we're talking about with the Netflix, iTunes, and Amazon. Now, here's something that is really powerful, and this is really getting us 1 inch closer to authority positioning assets in the portfolio, because this is laying a groundwork that we have to understand. Our attention spans are smaller. Business is going digital faster. We want things, our clients, our prospects want things faster, and we want to trust people that are on top, experts. So look at Netflix. Trending now, popular on Netflix. These are trust triggers, meaning, back when, Gotham was not out yet, people are like, what the heck is, if it's trending, I'm going to check it out. Or if it's popular, I'm going to watch it. How about iTunes? Here's what's hot. How about on Amazon? Customers who bought this also bought. And what does that tell us? It tells us that's the herd mentality. If other people like me are doing this, I must want to do that as well. So it's the bandwagon effect when seeking rational justification. Our conscious mind wants to just trust the crowd. And that's not great. In some cases, we don't want to be the follower. We want to be the leader. But guess what? In our business development and our marketing, we want to create that bandwagon effect. We want to create those trust triggers with our target audience. And you know what that means? That means that we have to be in that upper level where, like we saw with Ziff and Milgram's Law, we want people to make the decision for us because they've narrowed their choices to those on top because they see us as an expert. So the reason is I'm justifying my decision because look what all these other people did. How about this? Trust triggers give the conscious mind reasons to rationally justify emotional decisions. Basically, all this means is help people understand why you're the obvious choice. And it sounds easier than it sounds. I know that, but these trust triggers are so important. Now this is really, really interesting. I want to see some chat here. Let me go ahead and open up my chat room, my chat box. I want to see some yeses or nos. How many people have used Uber before? Give me some yes or no. I see a yes. Julian? Who else has used Uber? Jaime? Yes. Adam? Most definitely. Okay, Eric? No. Ray? All the time? So here's a question. I actually, when I came down to Miami earlier this year for Ray's event, was one of the first times. I'd used Uber before, but I used them constantly there in Miami. And I found myself, I just loved the app, and here's where I am and here's what I want, and then here's where they are, right here, they're coming. But I want to ask you this question. If you think about it, trust triggers are pretty much the only thing that stands between Uber and hitchhiking, right? Because just because I'm holding my phone in my hand and I see the Uber driver and I push it and I see that his name and picture or her name and picture, and here's their 5 stars and all I don't know anything more about them than what that says. So it really is a huge aha. So I see, Ray's, laughing out loud. Because let me do that again because I love it. Uber, hitchhiking, right? So guess what we have to do? We have to make ourselves, our brand, our personal brand so approachable and trustworthy that when people are seeing us out there, whether it's on our app or website, that they just feel like it's Uber, like, okay, yeah, that's natural. And you know what? Here's something else interesting. On the trip to Miami, I had called an Uber and I hopped in, getting ready to get in the front seat. The driver had to get around, walk around to the passenger front seat, pick up empty pizza boxes, put them in the trunk because she goes, oh, I have to feed my kids dinner on the way over. I'm like, wow, that's not Ritz-Carlton service. But anyway, it's just that personal touch. Now, if they had it immaculate and had, nice air on and nice music playing, would have given you a whole different experience. So we need to keep this in mind with these trust triggers. It's so powerful because emotions and the subconscious also decide who we buy from. And our conscious mind looks for reason to justify that decision. And you know what? The seller or our reputation is critical. And this might mean you should have someone on your staff or you giving a huge focus on your business development on getting positive 5-star reviews that also go out on Google. I spent a period of time with a client on the phone today going over this strategy with them because they've got my automated system of getting reviews and it's just going like gangbusters. And it's like, how can we optimize it and making sure that it's getting all, because when you think about a Google review, that's gold. That's permanent gold. And you know why that is? Because people look on Google for your service. I had a guy that probably I've used at least 10 times fix my computer over the years. And I remember distinctly thinking, I don't want to take my laptop and drop it off at wherever for a couple days and hope they fix it. And now I want someone that can come to my house and fix it. So I don't trust just anybody. I Googled around, found this guy with just a boatload of 5-star Google reviews, called him up. He comes out, fixes it. And then in the years since, he now even does remote. So he'll log in and do like the team viewer and fix things. And then about 3 weeks ago, one of my son's computers were on the fritz in the middle of COVID. And guess what he did? I texted him. I'm like, hey, Vasif, here's what's going on. Come by. He comes by the next day. I put the computer, I waved at him through the window, put the computer on the front porch. He takes it the next day, Sunday. He brings it back, texts me, it's done. I Zelle him the money. That's how you do business. And how did I find him? Reputation online. So this is so huge for us to keep in mind because it is building our authority, right? So now let's start making the shift. We're laying this foundation. I want to make the shift into the fact that people want to work with experts. Authority trust triggers position you as the recognized expert in your field. It makes it easy for the conscious mind to justify working with you because it's like, well, why wouldn't I? Because look at all these other people, look at where they're seen, right? So like we saw the trending now in the Amazon, the iTunes, even if it costs more. Now, I'll put a pin in this for a second because remember that I said, you see some of these copywriting courses, this is a power, use it wisely. And this kind of is. because of Milgram and Zipf's law and the trust triggers, when you are seen as that authority and expert, you can charge more. Does that mean you should 10x your prices? Please no, unless you're, severely undercharging now. But you need to keep that ethics in mind, because when you treat people the right way and your prices are reasonable and you're doing all this right, now it just becomes easy to stay longer, refer, and build your business for that customer lifetime value. So this is a big, big piece that I wanted to bring to your mind. So how about this? Talking about you doesn't work. Authority trust triggers are based on an authority heuristic. In the next slide, I'm going to tell you and define what that is. But it's kind of like this dude here, right? Trust me, I'm an expert. Do you trust him? It's just a stock photo, so I don't know who it is, but I'll tell you this. Does anyone, I want to see some virtual, and head nods, American Greed on CNBC. I was watching one of the shows this past week, and there's this group of people that just built people out of millions, and I was looking at who was doing these seminars, and it pretty much looked like this guy right here, and I'm going, who would have given him $1, much less millions of dollars? So it's unbelievable how we are seeing people placing their trust in people that really shouldn't. So this really is a skill and a responsibility that we need to have as an expert and an authority to do the right thing. But I want you to really keep this in mind. You talking about you doesn't cut it. Because this guy right here saying, trust me, I'm an expert, in one ear and out the other. We have to enable others to determine your expert status themselves. So it's kind of like what I was saying about the buyer's journey. When you lay out a question so that they can understand it, and another question so they can understand it, and they come to the realization that, you know what? Oh, Ray Perez knows what he's talking about there. Oh, Nancy made a good point. I'm going to at least schedule an appointment with them. Maybe that doesn't mean they're coming in with billfold and credit card open, but at least you've got that at bat. So that's a really, really big piece. So how about heuristics? Heuristics is a Greek word that means to find. And I put this citation here because as an academic, when I'm grading papers, you better have, a reference to where you're getting this stuff. So if you want the article, it's a really long, detailed academic article on what heuristics is. But it's a well-known fact that we often rely on experts or authorities' opinions instead of thinking for ourselves. And why is that? All the reasons we've mentioned before. And here's another one. We're lazy, right? We want the path of least resistance, and maybe not lazy in a bad way, but we just want, look, let's get it. Let's get it done. So if we have that digital attention span going down and we want to see who's on top and make those decisions, those heuristics or authority trust triggers are what we are really unconsciously looking for. We're picking up on those things. So I thought this was a really interesting quote to look at. Ultimately, by relying on experts or authorities, we're hitchhiking by means of their intelligence, and we become susceptible to influence. Now, where does that bring us for what we're talking about? We have to make it easy for others to call you an expert. Because remember, 2 slides back, me calling me an expert, you calling you an expert, that's fine. But we want other people to come to that conclusion on their own. So here's some myths for viewing yourself as an expert. And I know that you've heard of this before, but the imposter syndrome. But a lot of people think that you have to call yourself an expert, and an expert knows more than anyone else, and they're the very best in the field, and it takes years to be an expert, and I'm just not ready. Well, I've literally talked to clients of mine that had this concern, and I've asked them this question. When's the last question or email that you got from maybe a prospect that you answered? Well, it was this question. Maybe they emailed it in. And I was like, okay, so they didn't know the answer to that. They were reaching out to you. And what did you answer them by? And they told me what the answer was. And I said, okay, so you answered it. You don't think you're an expert, but they didn't know it, and they now look at you like, thank you so much. You, right now, tonight, are more of an expert than you give yourself credit for. Because you're like that, the example, the frog in the water. You put them in the water and slowly turn it up, and at some point, if they don't, you don't go too fast, you're going to boil them because they get used to it. You, in your time of being that 10,000 hour, expert, like Gladwell talks about, You have accumulated knowledge slowly over time, quickly at times, slower at times, but you are at a level of expertise that you might not even realize yourself. So you need to realize that you know more and care more about your business and industry than you might even realize right now. So if authority is not about calling yourself an expert, we have to convince others, or when we try to convince others that we're the expert, it's hard not to focus on how we compare to other experts in our field. This is pretty huge, because when we are not confident in our own skin or in our own abilities, all of a sudden we're looking at the competition. We're kind of in the back of our mind going, well, I'm no Grant Cardone or I'm no whoever, right, in your industry. And it doesn't matter. You don't need to be that, because of your life and business experience, you bring something to the table that many times no one else can touch. And guess what that is? You know the answer. You, right? So there'll always be someone better and smarter. Here's something really interesting. Calling yourself the expert can feel a little uncomfortable. It can trigger that imposter syndrome I mentioned, fear of being found out, right? Like, oh, how about this? How many times have you seen someone on social media in front of their Ferrari Lamborghini and they're trying to sell you their course and you're going, I can almost peek over and see their rental agreement. That's not theirs. Now, I think it's really interesting that if you go look at Ray Perez and his social media, you'll see some pretty high-end sports cars. And you know what? I've seen them personally myself. It's no joke. So when you can be that, there's nothing wrong with these things, but you need to be yourself, and you need to be, the fear of being found out, that's no joke. So you don't want to exaggerate, kind of like what we were saying a minute ago about being cautious and ethical and really doing the best serving for your target audience and teaching them what they need to know and not exaggerating, because this is really, really big. When you're trying to be the imposter and you're being uncomfortable, you feel anxiety about your competition, you lack confidence, and the coolest thing in the world. And I know for a fact that I could ask Dave Scadam right now, and Dave, give me a thumbs up, just a thumbs up right now if you can say agree with this. As you see authority positioning happening for you out there, you start to sit up and take a little bit more confidence. You walk a little stronger. You speak a little more confident. True? Yes. There's his thumbs up. Because I've worked on some of his authority positioning with him, and it's really cool to see this happen. And it's not just external, where your prospects see you as the obvious, all these things we've been saying. A lot of it is the fact that you yourself start getting more and more and more convinced and competent. That's a big thing to remember. So if we can't convince ourselves we are the expert, we won't be successful in convincing anyone else. How about the car salesman that sells Mercedes-Benz and he drives a Honda, or sells Hondas and he drives a Ford? If you're not all in and bought all in, how convincing are you going to be? So this is a really, really big thing to keep, to lay in our foundation. So now we're turning the corner. Look what I just did. I think subconsciously, this is me teaching some classes, and this must be my thing, right? So this is me turning the corner. Authority is being what? An educator and an advocate. We need to focus on the success of our prospect and our customers. We need to empathize. We need to give value. We need to solve problems, and we need to deliver results. Now, guess what? I heard this years ago, and you know how when you hear something, you always attribute it to the person you learned it from, and it might not be their thing. But years ago, I was at a seminar by Brian Tracy, world famous speaker, and he used this example, and it stuck with me, and I've used it so many times. Hey, I'm not asking right now, but if I were to say, what's everyone's favorite radio station? I get a lot of examples, right? W blah, blah, blah. And I would go, nope. Everyone's favorite radio station, especially your clients and prospects, is WIIFM. And one time I gave this presentation, and it was at a group of business owners, and I had done the introductions, and I knew that this radio station owner was in like the middle row. And I was like, and no, it's not your radio station. Yours is not everyone's favorite. Everyone's favorite radio station is WIIFM, which stands for, Nancy knows this, what's in it for me. And when we speak, teach, educate, advocate advertise on, so to speak, that radio station, that bandwidth. We need to be turning things around. And I've seen this example so many times where you'll see maybe a messaging coach that goes, hey, let's just pull up 5 or 6 websites right now. Oh, look at this. I do this. We do this. We. You know what? As a prospect, they don't really care about that. They want to know what's in it for them. So we need to turn our messaging around to what's in it for our prospect. And when we become that educator and advocate for the success of our target audience, all of a sudden, watch what happens. It makes it easier for people to see us and call us the expert. Okay, so here's a little exercise. I want you to right now, and everyone I think is muted. Nancy, I'll mute you.
Thank you.
I'm muting Nancy. And I could spend about 10 minutes in telling you funny stories about Nancy and I. We've known each other for about 10 years. So I want everyone to say, I am the expert in the field of, and then fill in the blank with your business. So I am the expert in the field of what, right? So say it out loud, say it. I'm the expert in the field of. Well, guess what? Now I want you to say, I'm an educator and advocate for the success of my customers. I'm an educator and advocate for the success of my customers. How did that feel? Which one did you have the most confidence saying? Which one do you have the most confidence being, right? The educator and advocate, or I am the expert in. Now, remember what we said, you saying you're an expert, falls on deaf ears. You being and embodying being an expert because you know your stuff, you're an educator and advocate for the success of your target audience. Now just intrinsically people go, oh, they know what they're talking about because you're not being forceful and cheesy. So how did that feel? Which one did you have the most confidence in saying? Let me check the chats here. Yeah. Branding, video marketing. If you say I am the expert in whatever, now there's a time and place for that. But I want you to realize that when you have this mindset of being that teacher and educator and advocate for the success of your target audience, now all of a sudden it changes, it turns the tables. How about these? Why are these people authorities and celebrities? Now, let's face it, Richard Simmons is known for being fitness, and I don't know how viable he is today, but he is an icon in the industry. Susie Orman, financial planning. Dave Ramsey, budgeting, right? How about let's think about this. Do they constantly call themselves an expert? Nope. And why? They just are, right? And I don't have a video queued up, but I'm sure that you can imagine there is a Richard Simmons video of him just being the biggest cheerleader ever for his group that he's doing his workout routine for, right? Can you just picture that in your mind? He is, so we should say educator, advocate, and cheerleader for the success of our target audience. They don't call themselves experts. Are they the smartest and best in their fields? Wow. Financial planning, Susie Orman, Dave Ramsey, budgeting. I bet you we can find some Alan Greenspan, Wall Street, guru that could probably talk circles around them, but it doesn't matter. You know why? Because they are recognized as being an educator and advocate for the success of their target audience. And many times you'll see Susie Orman. I used to watch her show many times, and she would take those calls and people like, hey, I've got this and this and this debt, and I'm looking to buy this thing. And she's like, girlfriend, no, you can't do that because here's what's going to happen. And so they care, right? Because what does it matter if Susie said yes or no? She doesn't get anything. She cares. So that's where we need to be watching for how we speak about ourselves, how we present ourselves, how we carry ourselves. So the authority mindset, when we stop trying to convince people we're the expert, guess what happens? We focus on being a champion for our customers, and we make it easy for them to call us the expert. That's the pinnacle. Just like you've heard of the term push marketing and pull marketing or inbound marketing, you want to have so many things, lines in the pond, so to speak, that people are coming to you. Ultimately, that's where you want to be in your business, referrals and incoming leads. Well, you want to have people referring, saying, speaking about you as being the expert because they recognize it. And that's huge. How about this? Define your mission. This is a really big mindset shift as we're moving further here into this teaching. What do? Most people begin with, oh, I own, I make, right? I'm a business coach. I own a fitness boot camp. I make websites, all about you and your job. So think about this when people go, oh, hey, what do you do? I own, I do. So authorities don't have a job. They have a mission. And if we can think about this, doesn't it elevate us from even the 30,000 foot level to a 60,000 foot level in reality? Because if we have this mission, what is our mission that's way past doing the thing that we do? And I'm not even talking about, charity mission. I'm talking about the mission to what? Help people gain 20 pounds, lose 20, whatever that it is. So who do you help? What do you help them accomplish? How do you help them? And why do you help them? So just as an example, this is my mission statement. My mission is to position you as the number one authority in your industry to become an instant celebrity. I empower entrepreneurs by delivering a done-for-you authority positioning portfolio of permanent assets on powerful platforms of publicity, podcasting, and publishing. Now, this creates omnipresence because you're then seen as an expert and authority in your niche or industry. And guess what that does for you? It increases your clients, your profits, and it makes more impact. Here's something really interesting. Do you notice that I said permanent assets? So when we're talking about an authority positioning portfolio, it's comprised of assets. What is an asset? It's a permanent thing, right? Like a house is an asset, as long as you're not upside down in the mortgage. But it's an asset. It's permanent. How long, I'm not going to say, raise hands or put in the chat, but just in your mind, think about this. How long does a Facebook ad campaign work for you? What's the time frame? How long does it work for you? Oh yeah, as long as you keep feeding the machine. So as soon as you stop that campaign and stop putting your credit card in and stop paying money, poof, gone. Oh, but that's fine because I ran it for a month, so we can go back and see all those. Oh yeah, no, we can't. When you build your brand, your authority positioning assets are assets. They're long-term. You ever heard of your resume, right? How about your Google resume? Do you know what your Google resume is? It's when they Google your name. What do they see? Well, your Google resume surely is going to have your LinkedIn, your social media, your website. It might have some reviews. Good. Hopefully they're good reviews. But now we need people to start seeing your authority position because that is a long-term asset that draws people into you. And when you do it strategically, that now becomes a way to draw people in. So I want you to just think about the concept of permanent. So now we need to talk about stepping into our authority. I thought this was really, really cool. Maybe some of you have seen this quote by Oscar Wilde. There's only one thing worse than being talked about, and that's not being talked about. Right? It's like, well, I can't go to that party, but I want to be invited. Well, I don't like people talking about me, but the worst thing is people aren't talking about me. Now, time is money. Tonight, you're investing some time to learn some of these things. And so far, hopefully you've seen some ways that you can even polish up some of your messaging, some of your marketing to be concise, brief, to be authoritative, to be an advocate and an educator for your target audience, right? So time is money, and your clients and prospects feel the same way. Don't waste their time with some long drawn out thing. Get right to the point, help them understand what you can do. And then with the concept of digital authority, digital attention span authority, brevity is the soul of wit, right? We're not going to get into this tonight, but some of the top books in the world, like The Art of War. Has anyone read The Art of War? Guess how long that is? 64 pages. There's a lot of books out there that are just like boom, boom, boom. In fact, Amazon Kindle has a whole section on 15-minute quick reads. So you need to figure out how you speak about your service, your product, in such a way that people get it. In fact, I think it's Albert Einstein that is known for saying, if you cannot explain what you do to a 6-year-old, you don't understand what you do. And I distinctly remember sitting down with an entrepreneur, and he was one of these techie IT kind of guys. And I was like, okay, hey, tell me what you do. Give me your elevator pitch. And he launches into this thing, and I'm like, whoa, hold up. You lost me at, tech, in other words, he was using, technobabble. There's like just jargon and what. And I said, let me explain something to you. Do you have a 8-year-old, 10-year-old niece, nephew, whatever? He's like, oh, yeah. I said, if they were right here in this room and they said, hey, what do you do for a living? What would you say? He goes, well, I guess I'd say, well, I help people. And I was like, yes, that is what you do. We need to remember people's attention span are brief. They don't have time to look all around and see through all of what we mean. We need to be concise. How about this? You ever watched a TED Talk? How long is that? 18 minutes. TED Talks are geared to be brief. Has anyone heard of Dan Kennedy, the godfather of direct marketing? If you aren't deliberately, systematically, methodically, rapidly, and dramatically establishing yourself as a celebrity, at least to your clientele and target market, you're asleep at the wheel, ignoring what is fueling the entire economy around you, neglecting development of a measurably valuable, what? Asset. This is huge. This is not something I've come up with. This is just a methodology that I've put together from all of my research, and you're seeing it unfold. Now, I want to show you this. And if anyone recognizes this person, I will apologize in advance. But I wanted to make this point, and I want to tell you an example. How many times have we looked on our social media? Like I said, remember I said earlier, and seen all the people with the mansions and the Ferraris, and you're like, eh. How many times have you seen someone going, I can help you scale your business to 7 figures, and they look 12, right? So I started looking around last week when I was polishing up this presentation, and I was looking for, I keep seeing this, but I'm going to find one now, right? And so finally I found this, and this is a screenshot from a Facebook ad, 7 steps to scale your business to 7 figures. Are you going to buy this course from this guy? I have no clue who it is, but he doesn't look 12. He looks like 21, but I'm not going to buy his course. He doesn't look like he has, the chops, has the, school of hard knocks. Now, on a side note, you ever heard of Facebook retargeting? Now I'm getting retargeted by him all over the place, so I'm seeing all of his stuff. But anyway, the point is, if this was a video and I hit play and he started speaking and said, I'm an expert, I can help you scale your business, would that change your mind? No, right? That wouldn't change my mind. But what would happen if you saw someone, maybe him or someone else, that said, hey, I just want to explain something to you. I can help you scale your business to 7 figures because I've done it, and I want to show you, this right here is when I sold my business, and this came from, I don't know, this, a stock exchange where I sold my business. And look, here's this book. I literally wrote the book on this. I was featured in Entrepreneur. Here's this podcast that I've interviewed hundreds of other of my clients that tell you exact details of how I've done this. Now you might feel a little bit different, right? Because he's quantifying this. Unfortunately, many of the brands out there, maybe yours, maybe mine, but we need to make sure that we are not seen as surface level. Okay. And I use this example so many times. Can you envision what Craigslist looks like? You don't want your website looking like Craigslist. That's notably just a classified plain. You want a nice looking website. You don't want your logo to look like you pick clip art, or some, a cartoon graphic. You want to look legit. You want your brand to be sparkling. Let's contrast that with what I call an authority positioning portfolio. Now we're using Dave Ramsey as an example. And let me just give you a little example. You saw the slide of authority positioning portfolio a few slides ago where with my federal trademark. I spent about 11 years in the mortgage banking business, and I work with financial advisors. In fact, I was the #1 producer for JP Morgan Chase 2 years in a row for this really specific mortgage product. And I worked with advisors handling this product for their clients. I built the whole relationship myself. They did a DVD about me. It was really, really cool. But one thing that I learned there is there's something called, back in the old days, remember Boiler Room? Buy, sell, buy. They would make commissions on every trade, right? Buying or selling. Well, then a few years, decades ago or whatever, it shifted. So now it's called AUM, assets under management. So if which I'm not, but if I were your financial advisor, I'd go, oh, hey, Ray, I could move your money 10 ways to Tuesday every other day, and I don't get paid a dime. You don't pay me anything. I get paid when your portfolio grows. Oh, hey, Nancy, you don't need to worry because when you win, I win. So that concept of a portfolio, a financial portfolio, is all of your stocks, bonds, and all of your REITs and all the things, right? So when you think of the portfolio, that's comprised of assets. Even in the graphic design, if you built websites, oh, hey, look, here's my websites that I built. Maybe it's an online portfolio. Click, click, click. How in your business, whether you're an entrepreneur, business coach, consultant, how do people see you? Sure, visually, website, brand, all that. But how do you prove your expert authority status, your celebrity expert authority status. It's with what I have called an authority positioning portfolio. In fact, I showed you the screen there. I filed and have a federal trademark on that phrase because it's important. So it's all of your authority positioning assets. So here's just an example of a few. If someone on this Zoom call tonight had not heard of Dave Ramsey before, now most people have. He speaks about finances and budgeting. But now here's his book, and here's his #1 bestseller, and here's his podcast, and here's him featured in the media. Well, if you got an email from his office or a Facebook ad and it said, hey, I can help you learn how to whatever, and you had a need for that, and maybe it was, like a really good need, maybe because you saw these things, these assets, you might give them the time of day. So now let's layer this with your business. You could say, oh, I'm an expert in. Or look at my thing. Oh, here's my website. I've got all my assets on my website. I will tell you that is a distraction because most of the time when people build their website, they put everything about everything on there, right? It's flashing this and video that and click here and download this and here's this special event and blog. It's a mess. So here's what I want to show you. This is what you will come to learn through Ray Perez's training, a 360 site. And it's basically everything about you, 360 view in one spot. I am using this as a way to layer in my authority positioning portfolio. So while it is, oh yes, there's my LinkedIn, there's my YouTube, you can find me on my contact, there's my website, wonderful. There's no distractions, right? You can't scroll up, down. It's just this one thing here, but guess what it has? If I were doing a sales presentation to you right now, I would have been, asking you questions, but I would say, oh, hey, Nancy, later on, I don't want you to do this right now, but later on when you come back to this site, you can click on the link there that says book and you can get a free copy of my book. And then also when you click here, the feedback, you can see my 150 plus reviews and some media mentions where I've been mentioned in the news media. And then you can see my Forbes article. I've got number 16 in the works right now. You can read through some of those. And then of course on my website, you can glance through some of that. If I gave you that 30-second overview and you just saw this at a glance, you hopefully would say, all right, this is not a Craigslist looking site, and he probably knows what he's talking about. I'm going to at least give him the time of day. So I want you to think about how you can be building these authority positioning assets. And if I were to click on, Celebrity Maker or Forbes articles, it would open up multiple, this and this. So here's these assets. You want it to be simple and brief. So when you are easily having your email signature, hey, if you want to reach out and connect with me, click here on my 360 site, click. It's so simple. And the beautiful thing is I'm going to give you the opportunity in just a couple minutes to access my 360 site on your phone and get a copy of my book, and you're going to see it in action. You're going to love it. Like I said, and we need to keep this in the forefront of our mind. We need to be an educator and an advocate for the success of our target audience. Done. Here's a little writer downer. If you guys like reading books, The Ultimate Sales Machine by Chet Holmes. Hopefully many of you have read that. If not, get it and read it. It's spectacular. But he pretty much made his career as a business consultant, going into large organizations, working with their sales team, going, okay, yeah, I see how you're selling. Stop. We're going to quit pushing and saying buy now and deadline and scarcity. We're going to just go out and teach. We're going to become their friend. We're going to be an educator and advocate for whatever that it is. Because when they started doing that, now all their competitors are pushy. They're like, well, hold up. Old Michael here on the call tonight, he was telling me some pros and cons and misconceptions, and he left me some information or a PDF or a webinar to watch, and he said, watch through this and let me know if you have any questions. And here's this other guy just like in my face, pushy. Who would attract more? The person that's being an educator and an advocate. Here's another writer dinner. I should have put this on the slide, but hopefully many people on the call tonight have heard the book, The Go-Giver by Bob Burg, B-U-R-G. If not, buy it. It literally, you can read it in probably 2 sittings. It's a fictional story book, business lesson book. And it basically is like, oh, he's a real go-getter. It's the opposite. He's a real go-giver. He's giving value. He's giving time. He's giving results in advance. And that's the mentality that being an educator and an advocate is. We need to solve problems and provide solutions. If we keep talking about the problem too much, now we have to mention it. but we need to balance it out with our solution. We need to be the solution to their biggest problem by being that educator and advocate. And guess what happens? It makes it easy for people to call us an expert, and it allows this to happen, word of mouth. Word of mouth used to be, oh, hey, I'm telling Betty at church, you need to go call so-and-so. Well, that happens still, but nowadays word of mouth is a text, it's an email, it's a review online. So that word of mouth, that authority and expert positioning by being worthy of, getting that referral, many times takes place on what's going on out there before they even connect with us. Here's something really scary. Your phone may not be ringing, or your email might not be dinging with people asking you about things because of what they're seeing or not seeing out there about you. So how can you stimulate and make word of mouth happen? You need to be that educator and that advocate, of course, right? We're talking about that. But here's something that really, really is something great. And here's book number 3, write her down there. ZMOT, Z-M-O-T, stands for Zero Moment of Truth. It's written by an ex-Google employee. You can Google it and download it in 2 seconds for free. It's a PDF. Basically, it means the moment of truth used to be, oh, when I buy this product, the moment of truth, did I like it? Does it work? Does it fit? Whatever. Now the zero moment of truth happens before. It happens when they're researching you. It happens what they hear about you, what they see online. It happens intrinsically, really emotionally, before they even reach out to connect with you. How can we win at the moment of truth so that we earn word of mouth? That's huge. Now, one of the results can be, like you saw in one of the webinar invites that you got, hey, you can land more speaking and interview opportunities. You can. Now, I thought this picture was quite unique. I've used it for years, and it signifies the video camera in the back. You can get video, maybe video interviews, maybe TV appearances, and then look at the microphone. Maybe you're going to get interviewed. Maybe you're going to be a keynote speaker. Does anything jump out at you right now in COVID time? Oh, yeah, this is an empty room. So yes, when we can get back to meeting together, you can be keynote speaking to people, but guess what you can be doing? Because of your authority position, you can be earning word of mouth referral recommendation to speak on summits, to speak on podcast interviews, to speak on webinars. That is going to get you in front of a wonderful target audience. In fact, one of my colleagues that does authority positioning across the country, he posted something in one of our mastermind groups. One of his clients that he did a big package for just interviewed Grant Cardone. Now, do you think that most people on this call can just go, hey, Grant, what's up? Can you come on my podcast? Crickets and ghosts, never going to happen. Ray could get that done. Some people on this call could get that done. Most people could not. What will happen is people like him or his people will look at your resume, your Google resume, your social media resume, you're really checking you out. And if you seem to have some things going on, all right, I'll give you my 30 minutes on video or on an audio and get that land back. Now, do you think that this person's client that interviewed Grant Cardone, do you think that he did the interview and said, thanks, buddy, have a nice day, and then he did nothing with it? No, he just used that out on all his social media, all of his website, all of his email. And you know how now he is looked at to his target audience? You interviewed Grant Cardone. Huge, huge, huge thing to keep in mind. When we are seen alongside, rubbing elbows with other influencers, it elevates our status, because look at this authority. It increases our reach. It increases our credibility. It increases our influence. Now here we're kind of landing the plane. I want to kind of tie a red ribbon on all of this teaching so far with a concept called the halo effect. The halo effect is when one trait of a person or thing is used to make an overall judgment of that person or thing. It supports rapid decisions, even if biased ones. Does that sound familiar to Ziff's law and Milgram's law about people consciously narrow their choices to those on top and they blindly believe the words of an expert? The halo effect is saying the same thing. When people are seen as that expert and authority, what happens? Oh, they make a judgment rapidly, even if it's biased. Meaning, oh, wow, I saw them on and they're an expert in, so I'm going to believe them. Now, here's the links to support that quote. And if you want that, email me later, I'll give it to you. But here's like an example. In Ray's training, he'll teach about this certified socially conscious business. Now, there's literally, I have taught an entire 8-week course on intrapreneurship. And intrapreneurship is how you're an entrepreneur under the umbrella of a company, right? So you're an intrapreneur, not an entrepreneur. But there, an element of that is being a socially conscious business. I'm teaching a class literally right now on being a socially conscious business from a kingdom Christian mindset, but it all ties into being socially conscious, caring for other people, right? There's a link that I can send you if you wanted, but you can Google it too. John Bon Jovi in New Jersey, guess what? He has a restaurant that he fixes food for people and he lets them pay what they want. That is an example of a socially conscious business. He's not trying to gouge people. He's helping the economy. Now, here's an example of how this looks in action. This is a section from Ray's website, influence with love. It's more the business. It's a relationship. And guess what? That shows right up underneath of it. Support our nonprofit organization now, socially conscious business, and here's some other causes that we support. So if you were going to Ray Perez's website and you would see his service, wonderful. You would see he looks like a #1 global branding expert, great. But wow, you know what? He's got heart, and he's a socially conscious business. Excellent. On my website, I don't have the seal, but I have the same similar concept, because look at what I say. Below a few of the ministries and organizations I support and donate. Now, I want to give you here's another little ninja tip, another learning nugget. So many of you guys on the call tonight are video specialists, coaches, real estate, health, right? You set appointments with someone to have that at bat, have that sales call. This is something that I've used that has worked so well, and it's so easy. So I want you to look down there, the third one from the right, Barbara Davis Center and JDRF. If anyone knows what that is, it's type 1 diabetes. And I've got a family member that has type 1. So we're heightened on the cause of type 1 diabetes. Well, these are two causes and two nonprofits that focus on type 1. So what I do is I try to give, as much as I can attention to them. And throughout the year, they'll have fundraisers and we want to support that. But what I do is when I have someone that schedules a call with me from my website, hey, here's a complimentary discovery call just to see what I can do to help you out. And they schedule the call. I will send an email that says, hey, looking forward to connecting. In the meantime, between now and the time of our call, if you can fill out this little pre-call assessment, it'll help me understand your business a little bit more. And for taking the time to do that, when you fill out that form, it'll come to me. I will make a $25 donation to JDRF, the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation, in honor of my daughter with type 1. That's all I say. Well, here comes, not all the time, but when it happens, here comes this form. I mean, we're talking a form like this, right? All kind of details about the business. And the minute I get it, I go log on to the website, I do a $25 donation, I get a screenshot of the receipt, I email it back to them, and I'm like, hey, thank you. I got your audit report. We'll go over it in detail next week when we talk. Thank you for doing this because I now made that $25 donation to JDRF. Thank you for helping support the cause. Did that, that doesn't rock their world, but it's a nice touch. And you could do that tomorrow. What cause are you passionate about? It could be anything. It could be Red Cross. It doesn't matter. But you could tie that into, Tom's Shoes, buy one, give one, BOGO. I was trying to think buy one, get one, but it's that cause marketing concept of buy one, give one. When you buy a pair of shoes, they give a pair of shoes. You could, whatever you sell, provide, serve, do, whether it's a phone consultation, you could say, when you do X, I'm going to give Y. And then do it, because that shows now you're following through in your word. But I just wanted to show you this halo effect, socially conscious business, how I use that. And now I want to remind you that I offered to give you this free gift. So I want you to pull out your cell phone and go to MikeSaunders360.com. And you can do it now or you can do it later. But if you do it now, it'll take you 2 seconds. You'll notice you can connect with me on any of my social medias. Don't do it now. We already looked at it. I showed you the screenshot. But click the contact button and then click send text. Just send me your name and your email address, and I'm going to send you the full digital version of my book. You can read through it. You can hear a lot of the concepts I talked about tonight, but there are case studies. There are implementation worksheets. There are examples of exactly how to get free media publicity. There's examples how to get interviewed on podcasts. It's a textbook. In fact, I reminded myself when I was making this slide, look at the Amazon description. this is a weekend retreat in the book. It is. I specifically put this together, feeling like I wanted it to be a workbook. So there's exercises in there. So I want to send that to you. So if you do that, I'll get that to you tomorrow. But also, you will notice that that 360 site is so concise and easy to use. And when you click that contact, if you click the save contact, it'll put all my stuff right in your phone without having to save. And it's just so slick to be able to do that. So I want to introduce to you, like I've mentioned throughout the call, and you see Ray Perez on the call, the Brand in 2 Days team. Now, how would it feel if you had a team of people behind you helping prop you up to get a little closer and a little closer consistently to have your brand be seen as a celebrity expert status in your marketplace? You might think you need to pay a lot of money, but you'll be super, super surprised at what we're talking about. There is an event coming up this week, and it is called Celebritize Your Brand in 2 Days, and you can get a ticket to this event as well as a ticket to give away to a guest when you buy this event. And I will speak for Ray, and hopefully I'm not over speaking, but this event is tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday, all day, okay, 2 full days. And if you were to make a purchase tonight, and you'll be shocked at how low the price is, I promise you. If you were to buy tonight and you couldn't attend all day tomorrow and all day Thursday, you get the digital version of this, but I'll bet you that he would let his support staff put you in for the live event the next time it's taught. They do it every 3 or 4 weeks. So hopefully, Ray, let me just ask, would that be a possibility if someone tonight wants to attend the event, but they couldn't block out tomorrow and Thursday?
Yes, next one's September 30th and October 1st.
Perfect. So look at what this event covers. Again, you're going to be shocked because I attend webinars so much, and like all of this hype, I get so excited because I love what I do. And you're going to feel like, oh man, he's going to pitch a $9,000 thing. You're going to be really, really, really surprised. Okay. But this is an event, and it's a 2-day live event. So Ray does this from his offices in Miami, 2 full days. And if you were to buy tonight, you're going to get the digital version. So right away you can take advantage of it. But if you can't attend tomorrow and Thursday, he's going to let you attend next time, which is in about 3 or 4 weeks. So I want you to look at something. In this event, in 2-day digital course and the live event, you're going to get an instant lead and referral system, which is valued at $1,000, done for your marketing templates and scripts. And let me just tell you something. What this means is Ray has tested and tweaked and tried and perfected marketing scripts from email to online on your website, and most importantly, really interestingly, text. And in the event, he teaches you something that I think is really spectacular. How to create short codes on your phone so that when someone introduces you, like Mike meet Tom, Tom meet Mike, and it comes in through your text, all you do is go A1 space. Here's this marketing message there. And it puts in a beautiful message. You don't need to remember what to type. It's so amazing to see these marketing templates and scripts. The Celebritize You Blueprint, value of $895. Expert title, a unique selling proposition. I could probably have done an entire 2 days on this one thing alone, which is how you call you. What is your expert title? You know, me as the authority marketing strategist, I used to be a marketing consultant. Wow. So is everybody and their brother. So is the guy overseas. I had to compete against everybody and their misconceptions. I am the authority marketing strategist. When you can dial that in for your business, and there's a section of this 2-day event that teaches you this, it's worth more than $295. Credibility bio, color, emotion guide, teaching you how to really elicit those emotions so people can make decisions for you. The one-to-many customer formula, $397. Authority positioning system, branding implementation, jumpstart, personal brand marketing action plan. Now this is huge because this is making sure that you know how to implement everything. Remember what we talked about, knowledge is power. Now, here's something that I want you to see. The value is $4,100. And if all this did was get you like 2 more at-bats a month so that people saw you as that expert and so you can explain what you did, maybe that 2 more at-bats becomes a customer or a client. And if all it did was made the sales barriers come down so they saw you as a trusted advisor and they listened to what you have to say on that conversation, not sales pitch or sales call or closing call, it's opening a relationship. If all it did was make it easier for that, and to get 1 or 2 extra clients a quarter, man, that would be worth a lot of money. Because remember the exercise we did earlier? What's the lifetime value of your customer? What if the lifetime value of your customer was $3,500? They buy this, they upgrade to that, they refer, they stay with. What if it's $3,500? What if all you got was 1 customer? Wouldn't that be worth quite a bit? So if this retail value is $4,100, your risk-free investment tonight is $97. I told you that you're going to be shocked. I told you that this is not a $10,000 program. $97, you literally should be reaching for your wallet this second. And I'm going to tell you in just a second where to go. This is not some long pitch. I just want you to realize all of the teaching we've gone through tonight and all of the benefits that you get for this 2-day live event and the recorded event. And remember, even if you can't attend tomorrow and Thursday, he'll put you into next month, which is in about 3 or 4 weeks. $97, and even better, you shouldn't even have to say this, but if you don't like it, they'll give you money back, right? $97, you probably have blown that on all kinds of things, collecting digital dust on your computer. I know I have, and I hope my wife didn't hear that. But the other benefit is you get a second complimentary ticket. So when you buy tonight, not only can you go to the live event and get the online digital course, you can have someone else come with you. And that's huge, because think about your business partner, maybe someone in your business that would need to know this. What if we used the pay it forward, go giver concept? And what if you use that ticket for one of your strategic alliances that you really are aligning with and would love to get more business from and be seen as that trusted advisor from a strategic alliance? What if you invited them to this and they took advantage of it and benefited their business? Do you think there'd be a trickle-down effect? I think so. So that's another benefit. You get a private Facebook community so that all of the people, current and past Branded 2 Days attendees and clients and students are in there sharing stories, learning from each other. Value of that is $1,000. You get a 360 site complimentary upgrade. So you start using the basic version of this site just like I showed you in mine. And again, remember, I'm using it as my 360 site where you can find everything about me, but I lace in my authority positioning portfolio so that you see my assets. So it makes it simple when you're using this in your business to be seen as that expert. Value of $1,000, that comes with it. Dave Van Hoosh, we could spend about 20 minutes on his pedigree. You'll be introduced to him, but he will teach you his irresistible offer blueprint, because it's a process. You can't just go, oh, here's what I do. It's a process. You got to know exactly how to say what you do. That's a value of $500. So again, in this 2-day live and digital course, instant leads and referral system, the marketing templates. I should have said, if all it did was give you the marketing templates and scripts, it's worth $97, and it is. The blueprint, the title and unique selling proposition, color emotion guide, which, do you realize that there's a lot of research done, like in hospitals, they paint the walls a certain color to calm people, and in other scenarios, they'll paint different color to energize people. Color and goes into your branding, and they really do a good job explaining what that is. The authority positioning system, branding implementation jumpstart, brand map, and again, a $4,000 value, but being able to get this for $97. And what I want to ask is this: are you worth the investment? Remember how I said that when you start seeing the authority positioning assets and your branding and authority going on around you online and people noticing it, right? Your confidence grows. So yeah, your target audience sees that, and that's wonderful, but your confidence grows. Because of that, are you worth the investment? And then I'll leave you with this: dream big, set goals, and take action. I could pull up the chat and see who said, I'm ready to take action. And I hope you took notes, and I hope you were going to implement 1 or 2 things. Maybe it's the little donation thing. Maybe it's the being an educator and advocate. Whatever that you learned tonight, please implement it. But remember, when you dream big and you set goals, you have to take action. And what I will say to you is that $97, just go to celebritizeyourbrand.com. You can pick that up right now. And I am happy right now. I know Ray's online. I know Cheryl's on the line. If you guys have any specific questions that we can help with, be happy to answer them right now about the event or anything that I presented. So this was my big old pitch for $97 whole, but I just wanted you to realize that There is so much learning that you went through tonight. I hope that you can learn from it, take some of these nuggets and put them into action. But what questions can I help with, or do you have any questions about the event coming up this week or at the end of next month? You can just unmute yourself and ask if you have a question. Nancy says, thanks, Mike. This has been great. You're welcome, Nancy. You're the best.
I'll jump in and say that I dropped the link in the chat so they can go ahead and click that link.
Excellent. Thank you, Cheryl. And I'll tell you one thing, you know how I mentioned about, hopefully you picked this up, the extra ticket that you get. What should you do with that? Boy, don't let it go to waste. Use it for someone that you can get a little bit of relational capital with. Maybe it's a referral source you've been working on. Boy, what would be easier than to go, hey, you got any referrals for me? They don't want to hear from that. But if you were to give them a ticket to a 2-day business building, personal brand building event, boy, they appreciate you because all through that event, they know where it came from. So I think that one piece right there is just a huge, huge piece of leverage for you. Any other questions? If not, we are done, and you can use the link that Cheryl put in there or go to celebritizeyourbrand.com. Adam says, concept of authority positioning was quite insightful. Great. Some terms you hadn't heard of, but quite helpful. Excellent. If you have any specific questions, shoot me an email, reach out to me. I'm happy to help, and I promise I won't bully you into doing anything. I'll just be a good resource for you.
How's everybody doing? Can I get a hello, Ray, in the chat so I know you guys are still with me? I see a few of you guys there. Mike, if you want to stop sharing screen so I can pop up, that'd be great.
Yeah.
So first of all, I just want to thank Mike for that amazing presentation and for being part of our team. He's a great addition, and I love working with him. He actually did my very first book, so Mike's a great guy. And one of the most amazing parts about Mike and what I connected with him right away when we met was that everything he teaches when it comes to his publishing and his podcasting is exactly what I teach when it comes to personal branding. And what I explained Mike when I first met him, I said, Mike, you're offering these amazing services to get people to podcast and to do book publishing, but you're missing one big factor that they need to have before they publish a book and before they launch their own podcast. And what's that? Their own personal brand. Because who's going to read someone's book that when they go check them out online, they don't look trustworthy or credible? So he was like, wow, that makes sense, because he didn't realize that he had already invested time, energy, and money into building his brand before he published his book, before he did his podcast. And on top of that, Mike still traveled to Miami, spent 3 days with us so that we did a whole overhaul, because he realized that even though he had a pretty good personal brand, he had these little holes in it that he was blinded to because it wasn't his area of expertise. What we specialize in doing and what we will teach you during Celebritize Your Brand in 2 days is how do you take all the components, all the puzzle pieces of building a concise, credible, omnipresent brand that will attract more leads and will increase your sales. Not only sell more, you can charge more for what it is that you do when your value goes up. Does that make sense? Somebody who has higher perception of value can charge more for the same exact service, hence Grant Cardone, right? I have a podcast. Mike has a podcast. Well, guess what? Who do you think can get paid for people to come on their podcast? Me, Mike, or Grant Cardone, right? And why? We all three do podcasts. We all have great value. The difference is the perception of value that Grant Cardone has will actually get people to pay him to be on his podcast, opposed to Mike and myself. Now, fortunately enough for me, I figured this out 4 years ago, and I've been consistently investing in my personal brand. I've been building it and building it and building it to the point where now I have an event where I teach entrepreneurs just like me how to build your personal brand, because I've gotten so good at it. I've gotten to the point where I now get paid for who I am, not just for what I do. And what I would like you to experience for yourself is, how can you get paid for who you are? How can you become the industry leader? How can you become the go-to person in your niche? How do you take all these puzzle pieces and put them together in the right order? Because that's what I want you to leave with today. I want you to realize that there actually is a formula to building a successful world-class brand. And it's like a puzzle. There's all these pieces. So what do you need to do? You need to get all the pieces first. But what's the second thing you have to do when you have all the pieces? You have to put them in the right order. And most entrepreneurs that I've experienced and I've discovered over time, they're working with all these different people, with all these different services, and they're getting all these puzzle pieces, but none of them are working together. None of them are synergistic, and none of them are in the right order. So unfortunately, because of that, they're not seeing the actual results that they should be seeing from the money and the investment of time they're putting out into the world. Have any of you experienced this? You go work with one person over here, you go work with one person over there, you spend $1,000 here, $5,000 there, and you have this mishmash of all these different things, and you're not seeing the return. What we do in 2 days is go over everything that you will need to put your personal brand as a world-class leader in your niche or industry. Now, on top of that, some of you guys will be, that sounds great, but it's a lot of work. Well, here's the deal. Our team, the Entrepreneurs Agency, as you see right here, is a team of experts in all different areas dedicated to your success. What I've realized is even though I'm very, very good at what I do, I don't know everything. I'm not the expert at everything. So what I've learned to do is find experts in all the different areas. Create a relationship with those experts. Make sure that they not only are an expert in their industry, but that they also have the same philosophy, the same mission, and the same values. That's very important. Like Mike, once we align ourselves, and I always say heart-centered, socially conscious, faith-based entrepreneurs. That's who we work with, right? And now by putting together this whole team, during this event, you'll get to hear from every single one of these experts. So maybe some of you have questions about how do I use video in my business to get more exposure, to get more sales? Well, guess what? Julian Camacho is a video marketing expert. He's been doing it for over a decade. He'll be speaking during our event. You might be saying, well, how do I increase my networking? How do I get more leads when I meet people in person or virtually? Well, Ryan Gunnis, who's been in the network marketing space for years, has created a formula in a system using our 360 site technology to teach you how to build more connections for your business. He'll be talking about that. Some of you might be saying, you know, I see all this stuff on social media, but I have no idea how to use it. I don't know when to post, what to post, how to monetize. I did some Facebook ads. I wasted my money. I boosted this thing. I got no return. Well, guess what? Ludovine Flights is a social media content creator. She specializes in that. She'll be speaking in the event. So what I want everyone to understand is if you've been struggling, if you've been trying to figure out a way to be able to attract more leads, get more business, charge more for what you're worth and the service and products you provide, you've just been missing some components. I'm telling you because I've been there. I'm just like you. I'm just a few years ahead of you. So I strongly encourage you to join us tomorrow and Thursday if you can. If you can't, it's totally okay because we will give you the digital product, which is basically the recording of the whole event. So you can start as soon as you're ready. And then you can attend a live physical one at the end of September with myself and the rest of the team. And the one thing that I can promise you is that if all this did for you was get you 2 extra clients a month, would it be worth the investment? If all this did for you was allow you to increase your prices by a few $100s, what would that do for you at the end of the year? Would it be worth the investment? So I'm going to challenge you to invest not only in yourself, but invest in Mike and the rest of the team to support you as fellow entrepreneurs to hit your goals. And again, we're talking $97, so it's really not a lot of money, but I will also say this. If you don't get 10 times the return of that $97, by the end of day one, I will refund your $97. So there is no risk. There is no nothing. At the end of day one, I'll give you your money back, and you took the whole event for free, the whole day one for free if you didn't get 10 times your return on investment. And the other thing I want to explain that Mike passed over was on Friday, we have a second event called the Marketing Implementation Bootcamp. This event was designed specifically for entrepreneurs like me who don't like to do homework, who don't like to go and do stuff and like someone to handhold them and walk them step by step on how to execute. So one of the things that we've developed isn't just how to brand yourself. I've developed a system on how to market yourself with your branding. Mike mentioned about my text messaging technology, about some of the scriptings that I've created. I've built a personal brand map, your marketing action plan, with done-for-you systems that you can implement immediately in your business, and you will see return right away. On Friday, we go over the entire brand map, step by step, and I hold your hand going through it. We used to charge $4,500 to do this live event in Miami. Since COVID, we decided to basically give it at our cost to do it digitally. So that event is $147 only if you guys enroll when you're purchasing the Celebritize Your Brand in 2 days. It's completely optional. It's up to you. You don't have to attend. But if you're like me and you want to learn exactly how to implement, how to market, and have someone show you, then I highly strongly recommend that you do that as well. So